So Hideo Kojima says Death Stranding 2 is getting way more positive feedback from playtesters, and Kojima's actually bummed out by that. Yeah, he's sad that people like the new one. He says it's not controversial enough. That's how far up his own cinematic backside he is. Let's unpack this, because honestly, Kojima might be one of the most overrated developers out there, and Death Stranding? It was never as deep as people pretended it was. There, I said it. So in a new interview with Edge magazine, Kojima spilled the beans on what the early feedback for the first Death Stranding was like. And it was brutal. He said about 60% of the playtesters thought it was straight up terrible. Like, not mixed reactions, not it's all right. Just terrible. And his response to that? Oh yeah, 40% approval, that's a great balance. Bro, in what world is a 60% hate rate something to be proud of? This is like saying, hey, 6 out of 10 people spit out my cooking, but the other 4, they didn't die. So we're good. Now to be fair, Death Stranding still sold millions of copies. Sony handed Kojima a massive budget and somehow it worked out. But not because the game was fun, because it was weird, because it was mysterious, because people thought, oh, it must be genius if I don't understand it. Spoiler alert, it wasn't. This game is a perfect example of a developer thinking he's smarter than he actually is. Let's be honest for a second. Death Stranding was more of an interactive movie than an actual game. The gameplay loop was, pick up some boxes, try not to trip over a rock, watch a 10-minute cutscene about ghost babies and invisible oil monsters. Yeah, there were combat sections, I guess, but they felt like an afterthought. The whole thing felt like a hiking simulator that really wanted you to feel something, but forgot to actually be fun. And I know someone's gonna be in the comments like, actually it's a meditation on isolation and connection in the digital age. Cool. You know what else is a meditation on isolation? Literally being alone. I don't need to pay $60 to walk through grayscale mountains with a fetus strapped to my chest, while Guillermo del Toro monologues about the end of humanity. Now we get to Death Stranding 2, the sequel nobody really asked for. And guess what? Early playtesters are digging it. They're saying it's a better experience, it's more polished, maybe even more game-like. And Kojima? He's not happy about that. He literally said he's a little bummed that it's not more controversial. He wanted more people to be confused or even hate it. That's where we're at. We have a developer who wants you to not enjoy his work. He doesn't want mass appeal. He doesn't care about fun. He wants to make something bold and divisive. Which is great, I guess, if you're making experimental art in a Brooklyn warehouse. Not so much when you're charging $70 for a Palmier game. Let me just say this. I respect creative risks. I do. Not everything needs to be Fortnite or Call of Duty, but there's a fine line between being artistic and being up your own ass. Kojima crossed that line like 10 years ago. People treat Kojima like he's gaming's Christopher Nolan, but Death Stranding felt more like a 10-hour director's cut of a movie that didn't need to exist in the first place. And now with Death Stranding 2, people are actually enjoying it more. And that's the problem? Come on, man. If your whole brand is making stuff that people don't enjoy on purpose, maybe you should be writing poetry instead of designing gameplay loops. But hey, if you like games with more cutscenes than dialogue in a Marvel movie, if you enjoy walking in slow motion for 3 hours before something happens, and you're into stories so vague they make Kingdom Hearts look coherent, Death Stranding 2 might be your game of the year. Anyway, what do you think? Is Kojima a misunderstood genius, or are people just afraid to say the Emperor has no pants? Will Death Stranding 2 actually deliver, pun intended, or is this just more cinematic nonsense in a hiking backpack? Drop your thoughts below, hit like if you're tired of movie games, and subscribe to Rage Quit Report for more brutally honest takes on gaming news. I'll catch you in the next one, hopefully with fewer ghost babies.